Guten Morgen, Afrelichin Chanukah, everybody. Okay. Oh, I need my own today. Chanukah, Yom Tov. Oh, look at this. Okay, that'll look good for the camera, right? We're up to now the second pasuk of the second Hallelujah. Okay, so the next pasuk says, Boine Yushalayim Hashem, that Hashem is the builder of Jerusalem. Nidchi Yisrael Yechanes, and the outcasts of Israel, the Jewish people, he will gather in. Okay, so at first glance, it looks like a decent pasuk, right? Like, Yerushalayim is always like a nice thing to think about. Nidchi Yisrael Yechanes, the outcasts of Israel, he will gather in. There's some good stuff, some really good gems that we'll get into that could really help us connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and have more impact on tefillah. The Sefer HaChinuch asks an interesting question about Yerushalayim. He starts off in his Sikha, he asks, how come? He says, Yishal Oid, if you ask, Achashit, no, sorry, wrong one. I'm missing it. I thought I prepared. Okay, I know it by heart, but I can't bring fun. Okay. He asks, well, how come the HaKadosh Baruch Hu only gave the Torah to the Jewish people? Why not give it to everyone, right? The entire world could be Jewish, and whoever keeps the Torah, will be great and close to Hashem, and Mashiach will come and will be fine and dandy. And those who don't. Like, why specifically to the Jewish people, and then not to everyone else, right? I mean, we all know the cute story. We learned in kindergarten, they asked all the questions, and everyone said no, and we said yes. But in general, why can't he just give it to everyone? So he explains that in everything in the world, there's, the grade A stuff and the not so grade A stuff. He says, if I actually was able to prepare appropriately and had it in front of me, I would have been able to ask. Right here. How come HaKadosh Baruch Hu only gave the Torah to one person? Yeah. Gam bezeh. Shulei says this answer is also you can't really understand the kavanah of Hashem, but if we're going to, he says halo yidua ki b'chol divrei olam, everything in this world psilis meruba by al ikr, that there's more psilis, there's more of the low grade stuff than the ikr, than the good stuff, right? I always like to, we're gonna have a barbecue in a couple of weeks, so we'll talk about meat, right? There's always there's tons of low class meat, right? You can always go to the store and buy cheap cows. How many Wagyu cows are there? Not so many, right? Look at real estate, right? There is tons of places to build houses, right? But there's only a limited amount of waterfront, places to build houses. Everything in this world, there's more of the fine stuff than the good of it. So the same thing with the people, right? He's going to give us Torah because he wants there to be a separation. Just like everything else in the world, the top of the line is fewer than the basic, than the regular people. He wants that with the Jewish people too. He wants us to be the top of the line, the grade A stuff, and everyone else could be on the bottom. He continues and asks, and we see that even with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's choices in the world. He goes, out of the entire world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu picked Eretz Yisrael, and in the entire Eretz Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu picked Yerushalayim. And from the entire Yerushalayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu picked specifically Har Tzion, right? The place where the Beit Mikdash is. There's a beautiful pasuk in Tehillim that talks about, and again, Eli Braun has not been prepared, but actually I have. Look at that. There's a pasuk in Tehillim that says in Kital Chermon Sheyored al Har Tzion, just like dew, right, falls down from Har Chermon, which is a mountain in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Hashem, next year you'll be able to check it out. And there's sometimes snow there, just like the dew rolls down from Mount Chermon al Har Tzion. Kisham Tzila Hashem Habracha Chaim Ada Olam. That, just like the dew falls down Har Hermon on Har Tzion, where the base of Mikdash was, right, where we see it called the dome. Kisham Tziva Hashem es bracha chayim ad olam. There, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded that all the bracha come spreading out of. The Metzudas David explains, Kemoy hatal hayored me Har Hermon. al har tzion hanemuchim, right? Just like if you have a really tall mountain and the rain falls on it or the dew falls in it, all the water, right, that falls upon the mountain gets rolled down the mountain and then spreads out to all the land around it. So too with Yerushalayim, all the bracha that Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give to the world starts off on this little mountain and then it rolls down to everywhere else. And that's why there's a special uniqueness about Eretz Yisrael, right? Sometimes when you just go there, you feel that jolt of energy, that jolt of connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and people find many great, Yeshuas and chusim just being in Eretz Yisrael, davening by the Kosel, which we could get to in a moment if we have time. But there is really something special about Yerushalayim, okay? But sometimes it's hard. Because Yerushalayim, Mashiach, Eretz Yisrael, but it's been almost 2,000 years and we're still in Galus, right? Especially with everything that's going on, yesterday or 2 days ago in Australia, and almost every other day you hear something. It's sometimes hard to really connect and actually feel like, Mashiach is on its way, right? Mashiach is coming. Mashiach could be here at any moment. And when we say this pasuk, it's an opportunity to really try to connect that and think about that for a moment. How? There is a pasuk in Yeshaya, in Perek Samach Beis, that says, pasuk 6, I'll read it in English. Upon your walls, O Jerusalem, have I posted guardians all the day and all the night, continuously. They will never be silent. Okay? HaKadosh Baruch Hu put these malachim, or some even people say it's us, on the walls of Yerushalayim, on Har Tzion, to be constantly davening, right? We daven all the time, we say brachas all the time, constantly there to daven for the return of Mashiach, that we all go back to Eretz Yisrael. And the most important word in the pasuk is Shem Kol Hayom Kol Halayla Tamid, continuously. These angels, or us, we're constantly, the word tamid, always, constantly, are davening for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Maharsha writes, from that word we see that Mashiach could come at any time. The Gemara asks in Menachos, what are they saying? What are these malachim, or these angels, or us? What are we saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he should constantly be building Yerushalayim? One of the two answers the Gemara gives is this pasuk. Boinei Yerushalayim, Hashem, right? And if you look at the Lashon, it's a present tense, right? You could be future, like he will build or he has built. But Boinei Yerushalayim Hashem is present tense, meaning he is the builder of Yerushalayim. The Maharsha brings down again that this is another notice to us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is constantly on the lookout to bring Mashiach, and Mashiach could come at any time. Why? Because he's Boinei Yerushalayim Hashem. He's constantly building Yerushalayim in order to bring us back in and bring Mashiach. And when we say this pasuk, we could think about that fact that there's Hashem placed these guardians, these malachim on the walls, davening constantly that he should bring Mashiach. And since he is in present tense, he's the Boinei Yerushalayim, he is the builder, constantly building. Mashiach could come at any time. Especially with all these things going around, the stories right from Australia, and just a couple, 2 years ago in Eretz Yisrael, and all the stories in between. The Mechilta, the Rajvi, brings a mashal about a king's palace who was ransacked, right? And I really actually like this mashal a little bit. King's palace was ransacked, right? People overthrew it. They commandeered, not the ships, but the palace, right? And they killed and they hung the servants, the people in the palace, and they destroyed the castle. They knocked down the walls. They tore down all the paintings, etc., etc. And eventually, once the king comes back and served justice. And I have written here. It's funny because I wrote this like a year ago. I wrote I'm a big, I'm not promoting any politics from left to right, but I write when Donald Trump was running for president, he was saying, we're going to, restore justice, and I kind of felt like, just like what Donald Trump wants to do, right? He's going to come back in as the president and try to, according to his opinion, that the Democrats root everything, and he's going to restore justice and serve justice. and overthrow all the people in the White House. Similarly to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mirz Hashem, very soon he's going to go back in, return back home to his castle, Eretz Yisrael. Mashiach will come, and he will serve justice to us once again, to everyone else once again, and bring us back home. But when we say this pasuk, I think the ikar point is to recognize it's Bnei Yerushalayim. Hashem places these guardians on there to constantly bother him and advocate for us to bring back Mashiach. And when we say this pasuk, we can actually just take a moment to remember that it could come at any moment. Mashiach could just toot his shofar and ride upon his donkey and be here at any second. And if we could just connect to that just for a little bit, I think it would help us, slowly but surely fight against, that preconceived, idea in our heads that we think Mashiach is never come because it hasn't come in 2,000 years. But if we slowly try to create another, pathway in our mind, another voice in our head that tells us, no, Mashiach could really come at any moment, and we do that just for a moment or two every day, it could really change our perspective on the entire concept of Mashiach and returning to Eretz Yisrael. Shkach.